Hello and welcome. Today's topic is contribution to MoonHug editor, and for that I will show one of the docs called contribution. So let's talk about it. It's not a big document. So we have ways to contribute. Bug fixes is one of the easiest things to do. So basically you run the app, find the bug, then you find the fix to it, apply, and create pull request. Then we have add behavior or unit tests. There isn't very many tests right now because everything changes too fast, but this will have to be added. And do not make a lot of them, just maybe key tests is enough for now, because each unit test has to be supported, and that takes time, especially when there are huge changes in features. So next one is improve documentation. See details below. Documentation is very important. It has some extra info about it on how MoonHug editor does documentation. And one of the top variants to update documentation is to come up with new to-do and considered features. Okay, for that I will go here and explain how I develop application or editor. So in the end of the list I have to do, basically this is my task tracking. I have a list of things I am able or want to do soon in to do, and considered features are either what I cannot make myself or they are too far from current implementation. Okay, so what I then do, I use greedy algorithm. So I choose the easiest and most impactful thing that adds functionality to the editor and implement it. For example, I would really need this one, so memory management guide, and it should be explained simply as if for someone new to memory handling. I know very little about memory handling, so there are a lot of problems in the editor right now, and they should go away after we have a guide. So either I should find it or somebody should write it. And that's it for contribution. Let's continue. Next option to contribute is to join community. GitHub, Discord, YouTube. GitHub allows to give to report issues, to send pull requests, and so on. Discord is for discussions. It's very basic right now. There is nothing, actually, only one channel and no forums, but it may grow if people will be interested. And YouTube, YouTube is for informing current state and maybe advertising the engine, also documenting how everything goes. And it has comments section which can help future development. For example, when I make mistake, when I explain something, you can give your opinion or correct me. And next, implement a feature, and this one is probably the biggest of all contributions, and entire bottom section of the document is about implementing feature, but it can be, if we do this first step, it also can be slightly smaller, a bug fix. Okay, so to have a pull request, we should first determine scope of change, high feature level, it means implement feature, or low bug fix, etc. This one is for bug fixes. After we know the scope, we continue with confirming expected functionality with docs. Docs are not in a good shape right now, so this may or may not work for you, but it README contains to do, and if you read through to do and you see something contradicting to a feature you want to add, or maybe something is already implemented what you wanted to add, then it may stop you from extra work which will not be merged. Okay, then to do, okay, this one is for its meta comment about this document. To do task tracking or for no race coding by multiple people. Inform in chat that you work on some feature. We don't want people to spend time to find out that only his work will be used. So it's good to inform everybody. And if we had Trello board or something similar, it would be a no issue because there is assignee and you cannot take a task which was already taken by somebody else. Next is to implement functionality and update documentation. Yeah, that's implement functionality is straightforward. You write code, you test it, maybe cover with tests. Then update documentation. Documenting depends on scopes. See below. Okay, that will be talked later. So do not afraid about docs because it's not that hard in this project. Make pull request with description. Yeah, this one is important because if I do not understand your intention, it may go unmerged. So keep pull request focused to one use case. Do not combine multiple use cases into one pull request. Well, it's a good practice if you somehow added more than one feature into pull request. It still may go, at least at this very early stage, which is vertical slice experimental. But it's a good practice to cover only one use case. In case pull requests are not merged, your contribution still can be made into a custom plugin with add remove functionality. Okay, we don't have any plugins right now, so there are no example of how it can be done. But if you have motivation, you can develop plugin system yourself, and it will be how everybody else will do this. Notes: at current vertical slice experimental stage, solid foundation and vertical slice features are more welcome than horizontal slice features, because if vertical slice feature gets changed, horizontal slice layer needs to be updated or removed. So, for example, I already have components in game, but there are no other parts of editor, and there is no really use for these components when editor doesn't work. So if I would grow these components to 50, then I would have to support all of them. And if somebody tells a new way to, I don't know, store them or something else, I would have to rewrite maybe all of them. And that shouldn't be a situation like that. Okay, when planning or developing feature, please keep in mind goals and key ideas from README. Okay, probably we'll have to go through that. And see style guide. Style guide isn't scary, it's pretty easy, at least for now. I'll probably show it right now because it's pretty simple. It's basically naming. We have similar naming to Odin's naming and style convention, but there are some exceptions. For example, we use not adder case, but Pascal case with underscores. And procedures may contain type names, which preserve their casing. And when not specified, rule of thumb is to refer to Odin style convention. I'm still developing this, so maybe there will be some other elements. Definitely will be a part about generation, because we need to tell apart generated code from human written code. And if you don't remember what generation is, MoonHug has pre-build step which runs before the engine compilation. So we first compile and run pre-build, which scans all of the folders for attributes. It generate Odin files with generated code. It finishes, and if generation was successful, then compilation of engine and editor begins and runs. Okay, let's go back. Okay, it actually fits what I was talking about. So, do's and don'ts. It's okay to have non-generic functionality in generated code when needed. Generated code is not a problem. It can have concrete types. Do not. Non-generic functionality in main code. Okay, this one is a red flag. It means when you add some type or some code, you have to do some manual work in another part of code. This one isn't tolerated. And then non-generic functionality in generated code, where generic is approximately same performance and functionality. This one is vague, but if it's same, for example, if performance and functionality is same for generic code, and you add the non-generic, which even generator has to create, this is a bad practice. It's not as bad as this one, but it's not very good and can be improved. Okay, so goals and key ideas in README. Let's look at it. Goals: highly and easily extensible level editor. Well, pretty explanatory. It should be extensible. Allow differently skilled people to combine resources together into interactive elements. Okay, goal of level of this editor, which MoonHug editor, which is actually a level editor, and use a Unity editor is also level editor, but it also has like build functionality and so on. So the goal is to create this level editor that works with prefabs, and those prefabs should be instantiated at runtime and create gameplay. Key ideas: editor should be user-friendly and it should be familiar to Unity editor users. Editors should provide convenient access to editing assets or redirect to external apps. Okay, when we can, we handle the asset. If not, we just open it in other programs such as Blender. It's not like we have to do everything in one application. And this one, I think it's covered in contribution, so let's go back. Okay, run link. A place to improve, yeah. Yeah, so I renamed this folder and I have to fix all the links. Let's go back. So this we went through. So you determine scope, implemented, created pull request, and it gets merged. And next part is about documentation. It's pretty short. I think we will cover it soon. Fast. In any project, features functionality exists in two states: actual and intended, synonym to expected. Additional requirement is to have one source of truth for functionality. Do I have to even rephrase it? Maybe let's give a pause and talk about actual and expected or intended. So what would you, it doesn't matter what would you do, you would still end up with actual, because code is actual, and intended is something is either explained by someone or it's documented. So this one is intended. And it's very good to have one source of truth. Actual functionality is present in form of code and tends towards intended. Intended functionality can exist in different places: code, documentation, someone's brain. To make it usable, it should be formalized into description. Okay, if you think of some cool feature, I cannot read your mind, so you have to tell it somehow. And if you tell it in words, we forget it in 2 minutes. So it's best to document it and description, to give a description, and it should be textual. Description of intended functionality always should be in one place: documentation. But place of documentation can vary. See further explanation. Okay, I don't mean you have to document everything. We will see it later. Explained. Program development is describing new intended functionality and changing actual functionality to match intended. So this one is about this part. So we describe new intended functionality, and then we change actual functionality to match it. Documentation is description of intended functionality. Okay, so here I state what describing intended functionality looks like. It exists in form of documentation. Often documentation becomes stale, and solution to this is no doc or self-documenting code. In this case, actual code becomes its own documentation and is already considered as expected. Users should read it to understand it. Yeah, so often the practice to do no documentation at all, or in other words, write self-documenting code. It helps a lot in very many cases, because maybe somebody does, but it's very hard to keep two places in sync, and that's why documentation becomes stale, and we need only one source of truth. So it's like Ouroboros snake eats its own tail. So how do MoonHug approaches editor documentation? So documentation is presented by high-level manual description of user experience feature, and low-level self-documenting code, comments, and unit tests. Interesting unit tests also can be considered documentation, as it fixates rules of how code should behave. Comments, I think it's for API mostly, what we have in Odin library. Then there is automatic tool converts those comments into API documentation. And self-documenting code is you give good names to variables, to procedures, to types, and then code should be read easily. Okay, so for low level it's pretty easy. Actually, it will be described here. And for high level, manual description of UX feature. High level building block of editor is UX feature, or just feature in short. What gives impact to the user? Feature qualities in ideal case: easy to install and easy to use. Variations of easy to install: it already pre-installed, may have optional on-off toggle in settings. So you develop a feature. It already is compiled into the editor, so it's pre-installed. And maybe you want to turn it on and off, so we have a toggle in settings. Then plugin. Plugin has add remove functionality, unique features not fit in main editor. This is for extending editor by anyone else with any crazy feature they want, even those that are not welcome, but they still want it. Easy to use. It should be documented, at least high-level explanation and usage. Okay, it's pretty much same as this document. Breakproof. Unit tests for key functionality. Allows safe refactoring. Yeah, when you have unit tests, you can refactor your code, you can add new features, remove features, and unit tests will tell you if you broke something or not. Optional extensibility. Extending functionality without feature modification. Yeah, that's self-explanatory. That's for high-level scope. Okay, I don't think I explained it very well. So high level, it means on user experience level. It means like which types you added or how to use it. Maybe explanation of intention, what you are trying to achieve with this feature. I have some of these here. They are not perfect, but let's look at twins. Okay, so there is usage. At first we call twin init. In loop we call tick running. And to run them directly we call twin run. Or we can register them and then run by key. That's actually a high-level explanation. Then we can add new twin types. Yeah, it means how to add new twin to this system. You declare a struct which has base twin and so on and so forth. Core concepts. So it explains structures that are already there. Type system. Okay, it's probably similar to this, but in code format. Twin is node tree, composites parallel in sequence with children. Well, so you see, and then we have composites and leaf nodes. These are example twins. Yeah, so that's example of how feature can be described. There are maybe other kinds of explanations here, and they're not as good. I think this one is pretty fine. Let's go back to contribution. And next part is low-level scope, functionalities. On lower level, feature consists of smaller building blocks, use cases, or functionalities. When making changes to code, it's good to understand scope level and type of actions applied. Possible actions on functionality or its description. So add, modify, remove, fix, or refactor. Maybe there are more. So you are adding new functionality without changing existing. When modifying, changing existing functionality to do something else, it's important that it does something else. Remove unused or unneeded feature, needed functionality. So what is this all about? When you write description in pull request, you can tell, hey, I did a refactor, or I made modification, or there is a new feature added. And it's not just one sentence, so you can tell I added new feature and modified initialization, or I refactored something and I had to remove unused or unneeded functionality. And that's all. So now you know ways to contribute, how to create pull request, and so on. Next video I think will be about new features that I've added, and see you later. Bye.